Here we go. Hi, everybody. I'm here with OSH Radio, and we're here today with Alex Black. And I met her through the U.S. Transhumanistic Party. And Alex, if it's okay, just call you Alex. Is that fine?
Sure.
What can you tell us about yourself? What got you interested in science, your involvement in the Transhumanistic Party, and just yourself in general? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, I guess I've always been interested in science. I started, I think I started with one of the singularity groups 4 or 5 years ago, and just kept meeting more people. And then sometime in the last 2 or 3 years, I just started, getting a wider community. And I wouldn't call myself a community organizer exactly, because that would be like herding cats. But you just
I like cats.
Build it, and they will come. Kind of, I don't go looking for people to go help today. Something will spark in my head, like, you should know this guy. Have you heard of this project or this paper or whatever? And it just as it becomes obvious, I share whatever that spark was. And I've been working with Ben Zion a lot and Steel Archer to send them more guests. I sent them a bunch before they got me up there.
Two great guys, let me say that,
Oh, yeah. There's hardly anybody I've ever worked better with than Ben.
That's good. Yeah, I was on the phone with him earlier today talking over some things, and he's really pushing and working, and that's great. It's great that he did win as the USTP presidential candidate for 2020, and he's a mover and shaker. He's trying to get some things done, and that's great. I have to admit myself, if I was a candidate and if I had been elected, I might not have been as much of a mover and shaker. So I'm glad he got it, and I'm happy to still be working with him and working on stuff.
One thing I really liked about the campaign that the other candidates became his collaborators because of our ranked choice voting. It allows for that.
Yeah, that does work out well. So what got you involved in this in the first place? So what made you want to get involved?
Well, I had already voted in some previous platform things. I just got... I barely voted on this last one. I made number 100 to vote on it.
It's rough with that's one of the things why I'm interested in transhumanism and longevity to begin with. My own problems. I have 11 fake parts in me, and dealing with family dying of different things, dementia, cancer, and different stuff. It's difficult and it's scary, and you get to an older age. I mean, it happens to younger people too. But let's face it, as you get older, we see a lot of it. Friends, family, and I tell you, it hits you hard sometimes because I've had people I know since kindergarten pass away, and it really affects you because you'd be surprised. It's people you've known your whole life, almost as long as you knew your parents, and they passed away. Yeah, so
your whole mortality,
So if we could do something to keep ourselves out there, basically keep us alive until we wish to pass away. I mean, there might come a time in someone's life when they might actually wish to, maybe save some of your knowledge and save some of your genetics, for another time, maybe later. But there might be a time when you become weary. That's a possibility too. But I mean, it's nice to have the choice and not make the choice be in someone else's hands, So that is important. I mean, that's and as you get older, you realize your own mortality. I think when you're young, you feel like you live forever and you're always going to be strong and healthy. And sometimes I wonder about the ailments and things you have if it doesn't bother you more when you're older because you're worried that you're not going to get over it. Like if you have the same pain when you're like 25, you don't think anything of it. You're like, it's going to get better. I'll be fine. Or if you forget something when you're 25, you're like, just forgot something. Now you get to around 60, you have that pain, you forget something, you're like, oh, am I going to remember it? Where am I going? So I think some of your own concern makes the situation better. I mean, worse, if you know what I mean. So,
But one thing I worry about while we are looking for our longevity escape vectors and all that, that's all well and good. But most people in the world just think they're trying to kill us. I mean, look at the state of Australia.
right, exactly.
Willful negligence that this happened, or or we're about to get in a war, and it makes it harder for some people to believe that we're going to survive this year, much less get old enough to be decrepit.
Well, I hear people being concerned already right now with World War III starting, and talking about the fires in Australia. When we had fires, I think it was last year's fires. One of them was started by someone that was mad at their neighbor, and it's like, why would you do that? I mean, so
Petty people.
yeah, exactly. So when again, what got you interested in this, and what is your background? Just to be, tell us about Alex.
Oh my God. I'm very hard to explain. I've just always been this weird. And no, I haven't. I'm getting better at it. I don't know. I'm just one some kind of undocumented polymath that the education system failed because who gave a fuck if boomer chicks could get educated? Sorry to drop an F-bomb here, but I did.
It's all right. Doesn't matter.
All right. Anyway, I'm not just going to sit here and whine that society failed me. I'm going to find ways to work outside of it, and I did. You know,
That's good. Any examples you'd want to give us, or no?
oh, I don't know. Some of the stuff I've been doing with Ben and Steele. I shouldn't give all the details on that, but there was something about that election that was making me mad and looking like a clown car, and that is what got me to be involved to make sure that we had good leadership.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another question. What do you see for the future? What would you like the future to look like? I mean, you've been around a little bit longer than me, and I mean, we've both seen a lot of changes. I always say what I thought life would be like when I was in the 60s, what I thought the 2000s would be like. We're not really there. We have some neat stuff and some nice stuff, but I did think we'd kind of be further along. I think we kind of lost it in a little bit of instant gratification is what I think, you know. So how do you think the future will be? What do you foresee?
I kind of think we were engineered to be this way. And if we go to Daniel Schmachtenberger's two-part War on Sense Making, and you'll see how we can't have nice things because nice things are hoarded, and they won't let us have good outcomes because they're really afraid. The rich people are so afraid of the population that they just keep finding ways to degrade us. You know, I'm not the first person to talk about like the crack epidemic being set up by the CIA or malt liquor or just any number of divisive tactics they use to keep us divided. But what I want is a renaissance. I want a world where everybody can do what they need to do without monetary concerns. UBI would help with this. Blockchains that, you know, hey, I made a coffee cup. You want to buy it on a blockchain? You know, that kind of thing. Whatever it is.
A utopia of art and science. How would that be?
Yep. Yeah. But as long as we let oligarchs say what is a value in the society, and it's always going to be what suits them, right? They've got enough coffee cups. They don't care if I make a coffee cup, you know. But I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but coffee cups break, so you can always use a new one.
I know. I just grabbed the first prop I could find. Okay, but I'm just saying, if we get the game A nonsense out of society, if we remove the impediments to bringing forth emerging game B, that would be great. But hoarders like game A exactly like it is, pretty much.
I really wonder if sometimes it isn't. I always used to say it's human nature. And then to be honest with you, I watch some of the stuff and you watch animal behavior and the structure and politics of other species, they play political games and power struggles. And I really hate to say it, but it seems like it's an inborn thing of intelligent animals to play games and power and try and one up each other. And it's interesting, but I mean, you look at animals and sometimes you think they get along better than we do, but then when you really study them, some of the things they do, and you look at sociobiology and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, if we find aliens, will they be better than us? And I joked with someone yesterday, I think if I was an alien, I always use the cat thing. I would look at people like cats, like all different sizes and colors, and I just look at them if I was an alien and go, it's a cat. And that's the same way I'd be if I was an alien. I look at them and go, it's a cat. Why are you guys fighting about this, that, or this or that? But in the same breath, I would bet that the aliens probably have some form of caste system or put each other down and segregation on some issues of something, just different than the issues that we do. Just because I wonder if it isn't a factor of intelligent life to do it. I mean, I hate to say that, but
it can serve an evolutionary principle.
Right, exactly.
But cooperation does too.
Right.
And
you would hope we overcome it.
Than individual fights.
That's what I say sometimes. You would hope that people being intelligent would overcome some of the primary drives, but I don't know if we do. Sometimes I think what we do, I hate to say this, is we rationalize our primary drives. Like instead of saying we're just trying to dominate somebody else, we're saying it's for some reason, or we're saying it's for their good and we're trying to help them. Well, we're not really. So I do wonder about that. I think sometimes when you get more intelligent, what you do is you rationalize your basic drives instead of overcoming them. I'm kind of being devil's advocate with that. It worries me sometimes. Like my theory that I'm afraid that when man moves out to space, we're just going to destroy everything in our wake and not be the great environmentalists I wish we would be. That worries me too, But
as long as we allow sociopaths to rise to the top, they're always going to define the game, right?
Yeah, but they're the ones that usually have the more drive to raise to the top, so that's the problem there also.
We need to screen for that better,
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I kind of sidetracked that. But yes, I'd wish that we could have an arts and science utopia. That would be great. Yep. And I mean, I had wished that by this time we'd be on Mars already and the moon. And I actually think as we spread out to other planets, it'll help us on Earth. Because I always say, I don't think we will overcome our pettiness, but I think the Earth will unite because then we say, hey, those people on the moon are the trouble, those people on Mars are trouble, the people in the asteroid belt are trouble. And I think it will unite certain groups better than they are right now, if you know what I mean. I don't know.
I just think we stop being ruled by thugs and everything gets better. Yeah.
I just don't know if that will happen.
Well,
that's
I think
my fear.
We either have to find a way to neurologically cure it.
There you go. There's an idea.
But see, you say everybody is so competitive, but we've all been raised traumatically. We've not been had a chance to develop a more egalitarian society, from a young age.
That's true.
Kindergarten is
if the systems changes from the beginning on, we might develop a little differently.
Yep.
If the nurturing part is a little bit more better, maybe it'll overcome the nature. With the nature versus nurture, maybe we need to improve the nurturing.
I wrote a poem long ago called "A Vulcan With Love." Maybe I'll send it to you. It's just about how it's more rational to have a warm society than a combative one. Anyway,
So, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
said, okay, where are we going from here?
We're going I'm going to ask you where do you hope to be going with your life? What is your present project you're working on, and what projects would you like to be working on in the near future?
Well, because I've been mom's main caretaker, I don't have a lot of time to have a sustained focus at any one thing. So, I just help a little this and that wherever I have time best to do it. You know, well, one thing, like in the middle of our election, I was fighting hard to keep the middle when all that partisan mudslinging was going on. I like to think of the USTP as post-partisan. We got people from all sides. It's a very multipolar group. And as long as we stay focused on common goals and not nitpicking differences, we can get something done. But,
Well, what do you think are the primary things that should get done? What do you feel about that?
Longevity.
Longevity.
All kinds of techno-optimist outcomes, a fairer society where we're not pressed by debt to get up in the morning and go to work. We're going, oh, that's a good time to have your coffee, and now I want to go to work and not be working for, something hierarchical.
Working for the man.
Yes. And working a more I think cooperatives are a better model than corporations. And if you build in a good e-governance, it doesn't have to become a big cat fight again. Like I said. I just want us to reach a transcendent point, but we have a lot to overcome, especially when people in power like the status quo, and they won't let us accelerate at the rate that we could because they're just have to control.
It keeps their money where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, talking with some people, and they said, mentioned conspiracy, and a lot of things I don't necessarily conspiracy. I think it's the fact that when you have money, you can there's more things you can do, and there's more things you get done, even done medically and health wise, because you have more money, and it just works out that way. I think it's important for us to try and raise the bar so that even poor people get what we consider today to be good health care. I mean, maybe the poor won't still get the health care that can keep them alive to 200 years, but maybe they get the health care that keeps them alive to the proper age that they should, instead of dying of diseases that they shouldn't be dying of. Shouldn't die of starvation or nutrition problems or lack of water or good water, but, we have to raise the bar so that what is considered the minimal care is higher than it is today. You know what I mean? I think that's an important thing to strive for. And that'll raise everybody's longevity because you're raising the bar up. And eventually, if you raise the bar enough, try and get things available for everybody. But,
Well, you're also kind of pointing to how money affords agency. Okay.
Exactly.
This house will sell someday, and I won't be so poor, but I'm pretty poor, and it also limits my agency, and being tethered to mom, even though she's out of the house right now, it's like I can't just go off to some meetup in Atlanta or whatever.
Right.
I couldn't get to Radfest. I would have loved to go on to Radfest. Really.
Yes, I took care of my mother the last 3 years of her life. I had some help with people though, and that was good, but yeah, that was my part-time job then, taking care of my mother. And my daughter helped me, and some friends, and that was good. But it does put an extra strain on you, not only time-wise, but emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too.
I had to take in an artist kid because I know I can't do 24/7 with her. And he's a good kid and all that. And this, between him and his buddies up there, they were doing a good job covering for me.
So I know
But
that's a stress too. I mean, and I think socialized medical would be great. I think that what people don't, the people with more money are still going to get different care though than everybody else, just because they have more money. But it's going to, like I said again, raise the bar. We have to raise the bar. So longevity and health, I think, is a big issue. We talked about education a little bit, like with our. That goes back to education, talking about nurturing in schools and how schools are run. And I'm a big believer in that. A friend of mine, actually from karate, I used to have karate studios, and he had this story about children learning. And he said, a child goes to school, and the teacher tells the child to draw a picture of a flower. So the kid draws a picture of the flower, and the teacher says, no, 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 no. That's not what I wanted. Teacher shows them how they want the picture of the flower. Well, from then on, whenever the kid's told to draw a flower, the kid draws that flower. But is that really showing what the kid visualizes or represents him? No, he's now been pegged into that hole and told this is what you have to do. And that destroys his creativity and stuff. And school has to look at that. It's, so that nurturing has to change.
I know some people that can speak to this, especially Mike Bryant. Hi, Mike. But there have been several articles about how our education system is still meant to turn out 19th century factory workers.
Exactly. School is set in a pattern to get you ready for going to work.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's why you go during the same time of the day, basically, and you have lunch about the same time, and chugga, 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 chugga. Yeah, exactly.
And you're told you're a bum if you don't like the system.
Or if you don't fit into the system.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's very true. So now what do we got? Changing education and healthcare. What else do you think we need to work on there?
Income inequality.
Right, that's good, yeah.
How
do you like the
war machine?
How do you like the idea of the 222?
That was Charles Holzapfel's.
Yes.
It's kind of good. Yep. I haven't thoroughly investigated it, but it sounds pretty good. And I like it. We could work
a basic of what everybody should have.
Uh-huh. You want to hit the high points on that, since it's been a while since I read it?
Yeah, I forget exactly. It's $2,000 a year. $2,000 a month. What's it? 2 gallons of water, 2,000 square feet to live. I think that's it. Oh. So they're guaranteed $2,000, 2,000 square feet, and 2 gallons of water. I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Is that what you remember it being too?
Something like that. So let me play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Okay, because somebody's going to say this. They're just going to blow it all on hookers and blow.
Well, you can't really blow water on
okay. The money anyway.
You can take them to the 2,000 square feet though.
But a lot of these just wanting hooker and blow are just like putting a Band-Aid on the things that were bad about society. So I think that they will want better things as they feel more agency and that they're allowed to create. Okay.
I don't know. Some people have theories that once everything gets rolling, it'll enable people to be more creative and more liberated. And it, in all reality, it might take some time. Maybe they will misuse it at first. I mean, I've known people that come over here from other countries, and I don't mean this bad, but they come from where they were oppressed, and they come over here and they kind of blow off steam a little bit, let's put it that way, and then they simmer down because now all of a sudden they're allowed to do things they weren't allowed to do.
But it takes a little mental adjustment, and they're going to blow off.
Right, exactly. And it's sort of like a child when he comes from a bad home and maybe one of the parents is abusive and oppressive, and there's a divorce, and then the child no longer has an oppression, and the child gets a little crazy, but they simmer down. So I think it's one of those things where I think it might work out good in the long run. It might liberate people for some creativity and different lifestyles. I'm not really sure. I mean, but there's a lot of things we've tried that we weren't sure of, and maybe it is worth a try. I mean,
well, maybe we could model things more in AI and just go, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure we can always find pros and cons to a lot of things, you know. I mean, I think originally when I always like to use the thing, the Social Security, when that first came out, people were mad about that and upset over it, and it was socialism. And now people say, "Oh, well, don't mess with my Social Security," because now it's okay and it's accepted. And they don't think of it as socialism; they think of it as something as they earn because they put into it. You know, so now it's become being social. Socialism is becoming something that you deserve because you've earned it and you put into it. So maybe it's the same kind of concept. The way people wrap their brains around it will change.
They keep stealing trillions out of the Social Security fund, by the way. Anyway, I'm thinking of starting early Social Security just so I can have a little income.
I guess you said you're getting close to that age, and you are at that age. We talked about that with some friends, and a friend of mine last night I was talking to, and he said he's going to do it because he said, you know, his fear, and I hate to say this, is the money's available now. If he waits till he can take his maximum, what if the system really isn't there? And what if his health is worse and he can't enjoy it anyhow? So some people are leaning towards taking it at the earliest you can take it because of that reason. You might not get as much, but you know you're going to get it right now anyhow, and maybe you won't get it then. So that's a concern to think about. And it's for people in our age area, that is a concern and a thought. And I mean, so that's the argument. People are leaning towards going at the earliest age because of it. And like you said, if they're taking money out of it and they want to change things, you don't know what it's going to be. And if we're looking at changing society also in some ways, it might, even what we're talking about presently might affect our Social Security because of it being revamped. Even if it's for the better for everybody, it might affect us.
Yeah, I'll get about half of what I would if I waited, but I really need it now.
Exactly. You know.
But I'm going, I don't know. It's like now I'm going to have the government up my business now to some extent. Well, I guess it's not as bad as trying to go on welfare. I never wanted to do that just because I didn't want to do the paperwork.
Well, don't do anything to red flag yourself, and you won't have to worry about it. No, I'm kidding.
Other than, should I do a Patreon instead? But I don't like begging either, so meh.
So let's
just suffer and do without.
So let's say if there's one project you could work on, what project would you like to work on to get the world to where you'd like it to be?
Well, I really, it'd be hard to say of my personal project ideas which one I'd pick from, but one that I'm really supporting is James Jones' Cube Spawn project. I think he's the one we need to fund, and we'll get that sooner.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that then?
Okay, modular, localized manufacturing, recycling, energy production, food production. There's several stages of this project. 3D printers, laser cutters, just a bunch of machines that stack together in cubes and programmable. I mean, it's a very flexible tool set he's working on. He did a show. He did a TEDx and he also did a show with Steel. I got him on there. But
So we could go into to TED and look him up, and also on Steel.
it was at TEDx, maybe in Austin.
Right, the TEDx.
Keep Spawner is personal profile. And I'm sure
What does he have a website?
keepspawn.org, I think.
Okay, so people could look that up. But that's the main project that you think would be great for funding.
That
working behind.
If we could really get that developing, and it's open source, so he wants that project to get away from him. If he can stop working on it, he succeeded. If it just gets in the wild like that, it's usually the idea behind open source anyway.
Well, I've seen some of the 3D printers, how they can even print dwellings affordably for helping homeless and stuff, small dwellings, and just 3D printers. There's some great stuff they do there. What would while we're at it, what would be the next project you think would be great to fund or to work on?
Things in e-governance, like with democracy. Something. Well, even banks are having their own crypto coins now. China just started one, but we're still in centralized hands. But it's still a step in the right direction, I guess. But
yeah, it would be.
It could also be used a bit dystopically, where if you don't have good social credit, nobody will have a transaction with you. You can just go die. So it could get ugly, but mention this thing in when I was talking to Ben Steele on that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It just popped in my head. What if we had AI? We were talking about impeachment at the time. I said, do over and what if we had AI go in and track all the corruption of all the things this and other administrations have done and undo it?
I don't know if they'd let that happen.
Well, there we go again. We could have nice things.
And we might not want to know also,
If there weren't people that just keep everything compartmentalized in silos and free to, they say information wants to be free. This is also key. As long as we have these control gates on information, that's a PowerPoint. I don't mean like that kind of PowerPoint, but
Right. Mm-hmm. Not the PowerPoint is in the presentation, but is in a point of power.
Point of power. Yeah, that's what I should have said.
And there's that cup. We can buy it on with blockchain. No.
I bought it at the dollar store.
So, okay, that's great. So we got some ideas of kind of things that you're into and interested in. And I guess we'll let you wrap it up. But I guess the main thing that you're hoping for is, I think, utopia of arts and science for mankind, and a couple different ways you're working towards and working with the party to try and help promote things to get that to happen. And I think the important thing is for everybody to do some, and together we can get somewhere, I'm
trying to remember who was saying something like that. It might have been Mike Bryan again. Said something about prototopia, which is not a singular utopia. It is a thing that lets you have your own individualized utopia. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Right, so you can have slightly different utopias within the utopia.
Yes.
Yeah, people need to have some freedom, and because you don't want to go back to squishing people in different ways. Say, here's a great life, but this is how you have to have a great life, because then again you're restricting people, and you're going back to, like I said with the story where the kid is told how to draw the flowers.
Exactly.
This is utopia, and this is how you do it. It goes back to the old days of sit down and shut up.
Yeah, you can't have creativity without agency.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, thank you, Alex. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything you would like people that might watch this to check out that you have? I believe you do have some stuff on Facebook and some Facebook videos and stuff, don't you? You have some stuff there on Facebook maybe you'd like people to check out, or?
Well, my profile is fairly vanilla. I do sometimes post over at U.S. Transhumanist Party.
Mm-hmm.
.org. Oh God, I can't. There's a dash in there, isn't there? No, don't take these verbatim.
People will find it if they try.
What else? Supports the Cube Spawn Project. What else? Was somebody else I was going to plug earlier and I forgot.
That's one of the things we talk about that happens when you get older. Remember, there's 3 things that go with age, and the first one's a memory, and I can't remember the other 2. Remember?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for doing this, John.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to doing another one in the future. And we'll do a follow up in a number of months, and you can tell us what you've worked on. Sounds great.
Thank you.